snow. Give these parents a place to go. Grab a stack of rock with Mike and the Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Keyboard's here, it's time for a party, and Chris has got the comment started. Grab a stack of rock with Mike and the Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock. Grab a stack of rock.
Hey, it's Mike from Grab a Stack of Rock, and we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Rather than being glued to my monitor every Friday night at 7 p.m., you got to live a little, so I'm pre-recording an episode here, and we are literally just going to grab a stack of rock and see what's in the pile. This is something that the show was kind of founded on, but we've gotten more serious in recent months with list shows and deep dives and whatnot. So instead of one of those list shows with one of those amazing guests, we're just going to grab a stack of rock. And there's a whole bunch behind me, as you can clearly see, and some of those piles have been neglected for months. So that's what we're going to do. We are literally going to grab a stack of rock. I'm going to crack a beverage open. Oh, yeah. To quote my friend Rob Daniels, now that's refreshing. But before we go and grab said stacks of rock, I have some mail here from Mr. Marco Doria of the Contrarians. And I don't know what he sent me, but we're about to find out. Let's take a look. The CD. We can see that it's a CD, but I have no idea what it could possibly be. Well, there's a note too, so let's read the note. I'm not sure what that is. From Marco. Hey dude, thanks again for all your support. Oh, this was Ray Doria's band from the early 2000s. They also recorded in Hamilton, Ontario, engineered by Steve Negus from Saga. They opened for Moxie when Russ Dwarf was fronting the band. He got to meet all of them. Merry Christmas from Marco. So I think the name of the band is Stir of Echoes. Stir of Echoes, and this is a 10-song album. Ray Doria is a hell of a singer. 2008, C Clone Records? Is that the name of it? C Clone Records? 2008 from Marco, featuring Ray Doria on lead vocals of Mystique, and of course Slam Glory. This is exciting. Thank you so much, Marco. I really appreciate this. I cannot wait to give it a listen. Chances are we'll probably show this off on the show before this episode even airs. But let's grab a stack of rock, shall we? I had my eyes on a stack right back there, right behind Captain Kirk. So let's move these Star Trek figures and see what's behind there. Kirk, Bones, and Spock. And this is a rather large stack of rock. So let's see what's in this pile. It's a little dusty up top, which is where we shall start. This was hard to get. The site that was selling it went bankrupt, and I'm lucky to have got a copy. Scarum's The Ultimate Collection. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Scarum discs in this box set. Now, having said that, this box set does not cover things like the Japanese bonus tracks that I've been diligently collecting, or bonus CDs even for that matter. This is just the straight albums with a few bonus tracks, but not necessarily the bonus tracks that I have elsewhere in my collection. There is a booklet, a very small booklet. Maybe not the Ultimate Collection after all. That's a small booklet. But nice. track listings, photos. Here are the CDs themselves. This last one here is called Bonus Tracks and Rarities. I had pretty much all of these already, but here they are again. And just for fun, we will go through each disc and show them each off, one at a time. Self-titled debut album. No bonus tracks. And no gatefold. Of course, in my opinion, their best album, Mood Swings, album number 2, with loads of bonus tracks. And I believe, I can't remember, but there's an acoustic EP that they did, and some of these acoustic tracks might be on that EP. This one does have the Japanese bonus track called Candle Acoustic, which is pretty much better than the original Candle, if you ask me. This is the last album, I believe, with the original bassist Mike Gionnet. It's different. I like it, but it's different. It's not as good-timey as their previous 2 albums. Believe, Karma Cleansing. Yes, it was released in different countries under different titles and different mixes. But I believe... I joke. I believe that this is the original Japanese track listing because Baby with a Nail Gun, that wasn't on the domestic. Definitely not. This is a great album, by the way. This and the following album, Big Bang Theory, which also has bonus tracks, which I believe are from the Japanese release. These are excellent albums. They are fully loaded with tight, short, pop rock bangers. At one point, almost pop punk. Now, the 2 albums that they did as Rubber appear to be missing. And we go straight to Weight of the World, which was their first album, again, as Harmon Scarum. You can read about the Rubber albums on my website. I have 2 copies of the debut. Weight of the World was a comeback. They brought back the Harmon Scarum logo. They were deliberately trying to sound more like the Mood Swings era. These later albums, I am not as familiar with. But there is a bonus track, Japanese bonus track. The story behind all my Harmon Scarum Japanese imports that I do own is I used to have this customer named Conrad. They used to call him Gum Chewing Conrad because he'd be constantly chewing his gum when he came in to sell CDs. And he sold a ton of Japanese imports. So I have a huge stack over there of more Harmon Scarum. Japanese imports with bonus tracks, compilations, live albums, all kinds of stuff. Overload album, no bonus tracks. Human Nature, again, I don't remember anything about these albums. They're just not as familiar to me. I just don't play them as frequently. I do like that album cover, though. No bonus tracks, just the album. This might be the one that has a Japanese bonus disc with You Shook Me All Night Long, if I'm not mistaken. I again, can't remember, but this one does have an acoustic bonus track. A lot of those Japanese bonus tracks were acoustic versions. Harmon Scarum United. Again, Japanese bonus tracks, 2 of them. There's just so much music. Harmon Scarum, the early years. This was a compilation from their, shockingly, early years. They did a demo tape. And, you can't really find that demo tape anymore. And I'm not sure if these are the same songs. But, amazingly enough, there's like a riff that they used in the early years on one track that ended up being reused way, way, way later on another track. Another thing is, interestingly enough, I think a lot of these old Harmon Scarum albums had different bonus tracks in different territories. So it gets very confusing, and this is why I have maintained a collection of multiple copies of these albums. But doesn't that look nice? Doesn't that just scratch the collector's itch right there? Better see if I can get a better focus, but yeah, that really does scratch the collector's itch. That looks great. Don't want to tell you what this cost, but it's a lot less than it costs now. Now, next up, This is a disappointing album because there's a manufacturer's defect on, I think it was disc 2. One of these tracks skips, and it's not because of damage. It says double CD embossed on the cardboard. The single disc version of We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll doesn't have all the tracks. This double CD version does, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to go for a vinyl copy. I mean, I have all these songs already, but having a copy that doesn't play because it skips. These Sabbath reissues were quite good. I have pretty much the whole set. But it's that skip, that manufacturer's defect that ruins it for me. And that's just very unfortunate. We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll by Black Sabbath. This was one of my very first Sabbath albums back in the Columbia House days. Weirdly enough, in 1990, this appeared in the Columbia House catalog as a new release. I don't know why. Maybe it was like just freshly released on CD or something like that. I don't know. But it was offered as the selection of the month. Remember the selection of the month? So I sent away, got the selection of the month, and I became infatuated with Black Sabbath. And in particular, it was the song Sweet Leaf, which I had no idea that it was about drugs. But it was the track Sweet Leaf on disc 2. Is it on disc? Yeah, track 4, disc 2, which would have been side 2 of the cassette. It was that track that really, really drove home my love of Black Sabbath. That riff. You know, it's sublime. You know what I'm talking about if you're a Black Sabbath fan. Now here's another box set, and I have reviewed this on my site. Max Webster's The Party. Now the big complaint with this box set was that it did not come with any kind of booklet. It also does not come with their greatest hits album, Diamonds, which had 2 studio tracks on it that are missing from this set. But here's what this set does have. And apparently I didn't put the discs in order. So, the debut album, Max Webster, with gatefold. I love that inner art. I love that photo of the band there. Toronto Tontos. Bum, bum, burn it, burn it. And what was their second album? Oh, let's refer to the back because I get them mixed up. High Class and Borrowed Shoes appears to be the second album. There we go. What a look. What do you think? Do you think there's a reason why Max Webster had trouble translating over to a mainstream audience? That might be the reason right there. However, I do love that the bassist, Mike Tilka, kind of looks like a mad scientist. I mean, that is more of a Japanese kimono, but he definitely has sort of like a mad scientist look to him. Once again, there's a gatefold. Kim's just checking out his nails, making sure that they look good. And then next up, we have Mutiny Up My Sleeve. Here we go. Not the most exciting cover artwork this time out. But there's Kim in his stockings, looking not very rock and roll. There they are, Max Webster. And there, in the corner, is Pi Dubois, the lyricist, who is considered a member of the band. Next up, we have A Million Vacations. I love this album. I've reviewed it. It has so many good songs on it, including Paradise Skies, Charmonium, Night Flights. My favorite one is actually Look Out, which is sort of a deep cut. But most people know Let Go the Line and Research at Beach Resorts is a great tune. Great lyrics by Pi Dubois. And next up we have the live album, Live Magnetic Air, which is really hard to find otherwise. This CD was always very difficult to find, much like Diamonds. In fact, I don't even own Diamonds on CD. I only own it on LP. And you can see the slogan there. We're just Max Webster, here to thin the thickness of your skin. And gatefold, which, you know, the original album wasn't a gatefold at all. So this is kind of a nice bonus. There's the Phases of the Moon. Max Webster have always had moon tracks on their albums. Like, for example, on Mutiny Up My Sleeve, we have no moon songs. But this one has no moons. You know what? Let's just move on. They're out there, trust me. The much maligned Universal Juveniles. The band was falling apart at this point. There's Pie in the corner. Check this out. The band was kind of falling apart at this point, and this album is sort of a reflection of that. But it does contain Battle Scar, which is the song that Max Webster did with Rush. Geddy Lee on bass and vocals, Alex Lifeson on guitar, Neil Peart on drums. It means there's 2 drummers. Pretty impressive stuff. The very, very, very rare Kim Mitchell self-titled EP. I'm not 100% certain why this is even in here. But this is so rare. This goes for like $200-300 on CD on its own. And it's so good. It is so good. Every single song on this thing is amazing. I have rated this thing 6 out of 5 stars in the past, which I reserve. Very, very rare that I give 6 out of 5 stars for anything. But this warrants it. The self-titled Kim Mitchell debut. Could be the best thing he's ever done. Kids in Action, Misdemeanor, amazing songs. But Tennessee Water is one of my absolute favorite jams. The box set came with this bonus disc, Max Webster, the bootleg. And it has 8 previously unreleased tracks. There's a Let Go the Line version from 2007 from one of the Max Webster reunion shows, which, of course, we're not going to see any more of those. There's a version of Deep Dive, which was later recorded as a solo song by Kim Mitchell, but this is a completely different version. Walden 5, completely unreleased track. There's some amazing stuff here. Totally worth getting the box set. For that bonus disc alone, if it wasn't for, the other rarities that are included in here, such as the Kim Mitchell EP, and being able to get Live Magnetic Air on CD easily, it's worth it. So that is Max Webster's The Party. And if you don't believe me, talk to Steph Hond, the guitar player from France. Steph Hond is a huge Max Webster fan. He owns this box set as well. And my understanding is the vinyl edition did come with a nice booklet, but I have the CD edition. Which, quite frankly, that's what I wanted. Now let's see, what else is in this stack of rock? Here's a CDR. Oh, okay, this one's misplaced. This was a video game. I don't even know if I've played this video game. Let's put that in the unplayed video game pile. Get back to the music. Gift from Mr. Robert Daniels. John Barry's Thunderball soundtrack, featuring the title track by Tom Jones. And yes, previously unreleased bonus tracks. Now, Rob would have to tell you why he gifted this to me, if this was a duplicate, or if he has like a 2-disc deluxe edition. But I'm happy to have a James Bond soundtrack. This is my only James Bond soundtrack in my collection. But I'm happy to have it. Because that title track by Tom Jones, that's just awesome. And look how freaking cool Sean Connery looks with his jetpack on, man. Has anybody looked that cool with a jetpack? I mean, a jetpack is cool. Let's not make any mistakes. A jetpack is cool. But has anybody looked as cool as Sean Connery with a jetpack? No. The answer is no. Next. Okay. I believe that this might have come from my sister. I can't remember if this came from Rob or my sister. I apologize. Star Trek The Motion Picture original soundtrack. 2 CDs. Oh, that's a nice picture of the original Enterprise A. Bonus disc is Inside Star Trek with Gene Roddenberry. I don't even know if I've listened to that. I have to be honest, I don't know if I've even listened to that. Of course, I know the soundtrack. Man, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Back when they used to really make movie posters beautiful. By Jerry Goldsmith, 20th anniversary collector's edition. So that would mean 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009, because this came out in 1979. Very cool. Believe there's a 3-disc edition, which may be why I have this. But for now, 2 discs will do, especially if I haven't listened to the Gene Roddenberry bonus disc. Oh, Harrison Kopp, this one's for you, buddy. This is a Blaze Bayley era bootleg. Iron Maiden. Virtual Lights Strikes Over France. That is a very awkward title. Virtual Lights Strikes Over France. It's like a tongue twister. There you go. I am not fond of this, as Harrison is well aware. But the last time I listened to it, it wasn't so bad. Blaze is out of tune for a lot of the show, unfortunately. There was clearly something going on with his voice, I think, at this point. And he just doesn't sound good on most of it, especially the Bruce Dickinson stuff. But the 3 bonus tracks there from France, from the X Factor tour, those are good. He's solid on those. The rest of this is from the Virtual 11 tour in 1998, and he was let go a year later. And I think this might be evidence as to why. Blaze and Steve Harris have never really discussed the specifics of his dismissal from Iron Maiden, but obviously Bruce Dickinson came back, and that's the way it should be. He tried, but in my opinion, this is not cutting it. You don't go to see Iron Maiden and expect a so-so show vocally. That's just not something you expect. You don't go out, walk into an Iron Maiden show and expect anything less than 100%. And this is 70%, if I'm being generous. It's just not up to Maiden's standards of quality. Very nice to have the logo, though, in the spine. Generally, when you buy these CDs, they come with a black spine, so I end up replacing that and putting in a clear one. A treasure, to be sure, but not one that gets played super often. Now here's a pair. Are there a pair? There should be a pair. I know I have the other one. David Coverdale's Whitesnake. I know I have his other solo album. 2 bonus tracks. Peace Lovin' Man and Sunny Days demos. I haven't played this in ages. I can barely remember what it sounds like. But it does include the song Whitesnake, from which the later band was named. He did 2 solo albums before coming out with the Snakebite EP, the Whitesnake debut. So the liner notes here say, David Coverdale's decision to quit Deep Purple in the spring of 1976 allowed him to start work on his first ever solo album, Whitesnake. Exiled in Germany and unable to form a band, the low-key release, recorded with the help of guitarist Mickey Moody, who was later in Whitesnake, was the first tentative step towards what became a hugely successful career with the band who took their name from this album, Whitesnake. Never released in America at the time, this digitally remastered edition includes the excellent single Hole in the Sky and 2 bonus rehearsal takes, plus an illustrated booklet. So let's take a look at that illustrated booklet. There we go. That's the kind of quality that you expect from a decent reissue. Beautiful. And like I said, I know there's a second one in my collection somewhere. It's just in a different stack of rock. These stacks are not organized. No, they are not. That's a whole other problem. I mean, once you have a mountain like this, where do you start getting it reorganized? It's been chaos for the last 10 years, basically. But here you go. David Coverdale's Whitesnake. And then next, this is a gift from Aaron, KMA. It's only, unfortunately, half the concert. Def Leppard, LA, 1992. I have reviewed this. There's the first part of the set, and then we're missing everything after Rocket. So it's half a show. I wish I had the other half. I hate when things like this are released as 2 separate CDs. I absolutely hate it. But it looks decent. I mean, it doesn't look official, but it looks decent. This would have been the Adrenalize tour. Sometimes it's funny to read the liner notes. Oh, never mind. They're in Italian, I think. Okay, Milano. Yeah, okay. Italy. So I can't read the liner notes for you, so folks, sorry about that. And then we have, oh man, I haven't played this in years. Neil Peart put together these tribute albums to Buddy Rich, Burning for Buddy, Volumes 1 and 2. The drummers on this album include Kenny Aronoff, Greg Bissonette, Bill Bruford, Steve Gadd, David Garibaldi, Joe Morello, Neil Peart, Simon Phillips, Marvin Smitty Smith, Steve Smith, and Dave Weckl. Man, I wish I could remember more from this album. I remember liking Burning for Buddy Volume 1 a lot more. That one had a great song in there with Matt Sorum. But if you're into jazz, or you're looking to get into jazz, but you're a rocker, check out Burning for Buddy by Neil Peart. And speaking of Neil Peart, here's a remastered Rush Presto. Pretty standard, the Rush remasters. These came out in what, 1997? Tim Derling would know. So just the standard remastered Rush Presto album. There they are, the Three Musketeers. Look at Neil. Man, we miss Neil Peart, don't we? He was always such an inspiration. What is next? We have... Oh, there it is. Burning for Buddy Volume 1. It was obviously, quote unquote, to coin a pun, I was obviously burning my Neil Peart Rush CDs. Yeah, I distinctly remember ripping. I was ripping these CDs to the computer. Shortly after Neil died, I realized that they weren't on my computer. Now this one, Kenny Aronoff, Bill Bruford, Bill Cobham, Steve Ferrone, Steve Gadd, Omar Hakim, Manu Katchki, and Mino Sinelu. Joe Morello, Rod Morgenstein, Winger fans, Dixie Dregs fans, Neil Peart, Simon Phillips, Max Roach, Ed Shaughnessy. Hope I said that right. I'm not the jazz professor. Marvin Smitty Smith, Steve Smith, Matt Sorum, and Dave Weckl. So a lot of the same guys, but Matt Sorum, he does a song, he does Beulah Witch. Holy crap, is it amazing. Beulah Witch. He does like the frickin' Guns N' Roses drum parts in a jazz song. It's amazing. It's amazing. This one is the one to get. The original Burning for Buddy. And, in my opinion, even though this is jazz, Buddy Rich was a rocker. I mean, he influenced so many rockers. I mean, I don't mean he was really a rocker. I mean, obviously he was a jazz drummer, but he influenced so many rockers that, he may as well be a part of the rock and roll family tree. Burning for Buddy, Volume 1 by Neil Peart. These are, these are on Anthem. Anthem. I want to do this without edits. Believe this one, pardon me. I believe this one came from Rob Daniels as well. Vangelis, Antarctica. I have played it. I remember nothing about it, unfortunately. But I am obsessed with Antarctica and anything to do with it. And Vangelis is cool. And for those in the know, that sticker, that price tag means something, but I'm not going to say it. Okay, now it looks like the rest of this stack is Marillion, and it looks like a whole bunch of these are not even, they're still sealed. The problem is Marillion have so much stuff. I would estimate I've got a couple hundred Marillion live albums. There's live CDs, not albums, but here, this is a 2 CD set here. And this one is called Cleverness Notch. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. But this is a 2019 release, and it has a bunch of great tunes, including a Wow, yeah. They do This Town, The Rake's Progress, and 100 Nights from the Holidays in Eden album. The Release, which is a B-side. The Other Half, You're Gone. Sounds That Can't Be Made. Hard as Love. A Collection, which was a B-side. Or was it a bonus track on a Greatest Hits? One of the two. The Answering Machine. Faith, which Faith was, for a while there, only available on a DVD, a live DVD, until they re-recorded it for the Somewhere Else album. There's a whole series of these that look similar. Marillion.cl.com. So they do the entire .com album on this recording. And then the second CD has King, Berlin, Real Tears for Sale, and The Levers, One Tonight. More recent material. There's no Fish material. None on these live albums. Not one song. Except now we do. This one is all Fish material. Hotel Hobbies, Warm Wet Circles, That Time of Night, White Russian, Incommunicado, Slaint, Sugar Mice, Lords of the Backstage, Blind Curve, and Market Square Heroes. A good sampling of the first 4 Marillion albums, although I don't think there's anything here from Fugazi. And this one is at the Marquee. I am so behind in my Marillion. Okay, here's a 2 CD set. This is the making of the Somewhere Else album. Now, I'm not even that fond of the Somewhere Else album, but I have multiple copies of it. I have CD, I have vinyl, which has 3 bonus tracks on it, and this thing, which has 2 discs of demos. Hey, there's one here that references John Barry. John Barry, Century for Man, is the name of track 20, disc 1. Still sealed. I'd like to keep it that way for now until I have an inkling to sit down and listen to it. Marillion. Waves and Numbers, another live album. 2016, Racket Records. Disc 2 has some long bombers on it. This Strange Engine and Gaza, they were both 10 minutes each. Has some good songs in here. Looks like they do the entire Anarachnophobia album on disc 1. Bands like this who do whole albums live, I like that. I should really listen to these. I bought them. These are from the, I believe, the Marillion conventions, because this is singles night. So they're doing all singles, including a bunch of Fish stuff, Garden Party, Market Square Heroes, Kaylee, Lavender, Heart of Lothian, Warm Wet Circles, Sugar Mice, Incommunicado, and then a whole bunch of early Steve Hogarth stuff, Uninvited Guest, No One Can, Hooks in You, Dryland, Sympathy, The Great Escape, and then the second disc has some later stuff on it, stuff from Brave, stuff from This Strange Engine, and a cover of Hocus Pocus by Focus. Fuck, I need to listen to these. Marillion Weekend 2015. And I'm, like I said, I'm way behind. They've released way more stuff. Marbles in the Park. Looks like this one is them doing the entire Marbles album. Here you go. The entire 2-disc version of the Marbles album looks like. The Damage, Genie, Fantastic Place, all 4 parts of Marbles, Neverland, and then they go out on some older, well, not older stuff, from Afraid of Sunlight, Out of This World and King, and Sounds That Can't Be Made from that album. More! Live in Chile! Have not played this. This is 2016. You can see there's a lot of stuff from the late 2010 decade. Great stuff. Again, there's some Fish stuff like Kaylee and Lavender. They do Easter. But some of these later songs, I don't remember any of them. Like Pour My Love, I don't remember that song. I remember nothing about it. Live in Chile. Marillion. And this is a thick one. That's what she said, with 3 discs. This is the making of Happiness is the Road, which was a double album, and not my favorite. I was never a big fan of Happiness is the Road. Found it a bit, I don't know, cumbersome, I guess. But it did have some amazing tunes on it, such as This Train Is My Life. Whew! That's a lot of Marillion to go through, and, you know, it's daunting. This pile is daunting. But I paid for it all, so I may as well listen to it one day. Well, I wanted to go for 45 minutes, and we're at about 35. So why don't we grab another stack of rock here? Or maybe half a stack. And we'll see what's in here. This is a good one. Whitesnake live in '84 with John Sykes. It even has John Lord's final performance with Whitesnake on a DVD. This is a CD-DVD set. And it's essential. If you like slide-it-in era Whitesnake, then you need this. Super Rock Japan '84. Oh, man. Wait a minute. This is a 3-disc set, I think. No, it's 2-disc, yeah. Sorry. Okay, so disc 1 is the DVD, Super Rock Japan '84, and disc 2 is Snakeskin Boots. The best of the bootlegs, including 3 songs from Super Rock Japan '84. But, why can't they put out a set with all of the music on the CD? It's very difficult to rip music off of a DVD. I've tried and had limited amounts of success. Dedicated to Cozy, John, and Mel. Hard to believe that those guys are gone. There's Cozy right there. A lineup of John Sykes, Neil Murray, David Coverdale, and Cozy Powell. Rest in peace. Haven't opened it yet. We've looked at this in a prior video, but this is the Whitesnake Purple album. I haven't opened it yet. This is what happens when you have too much music. Yes, I do. I have too much music. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode. Maybe I'll call it Too Much Music. Here's another Whitesnake. I reviewed this recently. This has the 3 Geffen albums on it and some of the associated bonus tracks, such as Sweet Lady Luck and Here I Go Again, the remix. It's a good set. If you don't have these albums already, this is an easy way to get all 3 with some bonus tracks in one shot. And for the time that this came out, which was 2002, this was probably the very best way to get that music. Here I Go Again, the Whitesnake collection. The 3 Geffen albums. Still sealed. Still sealed. From Japan. Deep Purple with Orchestra live in Verona. This is 2 discs. And I'm not sure if there are any bonus tracks. I'm not sure what the deal is here. But this is with an orchestra. And it was recorded in a Roman amphitheater. Why have I not freaking opened this yet? I don't know. The band played all their classic hits, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's some good stuff on here, including the well-dressed guitar, Steve Morse's solo piece, When a Blind Man Cries, probably one of the greatest B-sides ever recorded by anybody. Hard Lovin' Man. Now that's an oldie from In Rock. Rapture of the Deep, kind of an obscure track now. Contact Lost, there's a whole bunch of, there's like a whole suite of Steve Morse stuff. They go from Contact Lost to a Steve Morse guitar solo to When a Blind Man Cries, and then the well-dressed guitar. Oh wow, No One Came. Why have I not listened to this yet? Again, this is called Too Much Music, because it truly is. And here's some more Deep Purple. This is the remixed version of Maiden Japan. No, sorry, this is not. This is not. That's a 3-disc set. This is just the regular Maiden Japan with a bonus disc of encores. But now there is the full shebang, the 4-disc Maiden Japan box set that has rendered this version completely obsolete. Anyway, it is completely obsolete now, and it is only there for the collection. Here's something else that is obsolete because I have all the tracks elsewhere, but this is a brilliant starter set for Styx. Takes you from the very first album, Styx, self-titled, all the way to what was then the current album, Cyclorama, featuring Lawrence Gowan on lead, well, not lead vocals, I guess, because they have shared vocals, but here you go. This is a great starter set. Come Sail Away, the Styx Anthology. This is available under a couple of different titles. I think you can buy it under the name Styx Gold. But here you go. Great stuff. I'll have to clean that up later. Some more Styx. This came from probably Sonic Boom in Toronto, Equinox. I think this is the last one before Tommy Shaw joined the band. Light Up. Lorelei, Mother Dear. Mother Dear. Some people don't like it. I think it's great. Lonely Child, Midnight Ride, Born for Adventure, Prelude 12, and Sweet Madam Blue. Brilliant album. Not remastered, just an original pressing. I don't think this is remastered. There's the disc there. Here's one I've reviewed and recently found out has a bonus disc in Japan. There's a bonus disc with 3 more live songs that I don't have. And I have to decide for myself how much I care about Aerosmith. Later Aerosmith, anyway. Rocks Donington 2014. I've reviewed this. There's 2 CDs and a DVD. It's good, but you have to ask yourself, how much later Aerosmith do you actually need? And do I need to track down that 3-disc Japanese set with the 3 bonus tracks? I worked it out. It would come to about $200 once it's shipped here. I don't know. That's hard to justify. Now here's a cool one. This is a promo. David Lee Roth's A Little Ain't Enough in a promo digipack. Look, there's nothing written on the spine there. Nothing. You wouldn't know who this is. The booklet is identical to the CD version, the regular CD version. You recognize that picture? And I don't know if that's identical to the commercial CD or not, but I suspect it probably is. But that is a rarity. Unfortunately, it has some damage on the back. I could cover that up with a black magic marker, but I think I'll just leave it. The Sword. High Country. I like this album, but again, I have a hard time remembering all the different songs. I haven't listened to it enough. I think this was perhaps their last full studio album. They did an acoustic one called Low Country after this, but I think this is their last real studio album. Here's a band I don't talk about very much. I used to really love the Foo Fighters. Color and the Shape is by far their best album. I don't think they've come even close to equaling this. But what I've learned, what I discovered, is that this album works better on its own without the 6 bonus tracks. Now, the 6 bonus tracks, they're all fine on their own, but they make the album too long and it loses focus. A lot of those bonus tracks are more noisy, very B-sidey, you know? They're very B-sidey bonus tracks. And the album itself wasn't like that. It was very tight, where every song mattered. Every song was good. Every song was great on The Color and the Shape. This is before Taylor Hawkins joined the band. This was recorded with mostly Dave Grohl on drums. Mostly. The original drummer, whose name is escaping me, the original drummer did play on a couple of tracks. His name was hard to find in the booklet. William Goldsmith played drums on Doll, the slow version of Up in Arms, and that's about it. Good album. I don't listen to the Foo Fighters. God, I haven't listened to them in years, I think. Now here's a rarity. Oh no, it's not really, I guess. It took a while for me to get it. Paranormal Evening with Alice Cooper. Standard 2-disc concert. Nita Strauss on lead guitar. Pretty much the same band that he's got now, I think. Here's Bisto Blanco there, sticking out his tongue. Good stuff from the Paranormal tour. pretty much essential if you are a Cooper fan and want his live stuff. There's a band I haven't listened to in years, and I need to... Again, you know, you're hearing the same thing. These stacks of rock, they've been neglected for years. I don't even know if I even still like this band, but we have some Greta Van Fleet here. The first three Greta Van Fleet. And like I said, I don't even know if I still like these guys or not. Obviously I did at one point, mainly for Highway Tune. That song still kicks ass. But I don't know. Perhaps Greta did not stand the test of time with me. But when they came out with that Highway Tune, man, they really killed it. They really, really killed it with the Highway Tune. This is the last Loudness album that I've bought. They've got more recent stuff since, but this is a great set. 2 CDs and 1 DVD with very, very little overlap between them. 2018, Live in Tokyo. And the bonus disc is, it's from some kind of festival, I think. Well, they're all from a festival. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3. Each disc is a different, one CD came out. Each disc is from a different show, from a festival. And it's excellent. Loudness are still great. And, basically there's nothing missing from this. Crazy Doctors on here. Esper. A lot of early stuff. But also some of the more recent stuff too. Proving that they still had what it takes and still do today. Also, one of the great metal logos. That Loudness logo. One of the great logos. Truly. And we'll call this the last one before we call it a day. This was a gift from Mr. Kevin Simister, otherwise known as Canadian Grooves. And it's the infamous ZZ Top 6-pack. Now, why do I say infamous? Because they remixed these albums to update them with a more techie sound to go with that Eliminator Afterburner era feel. I think this came out around 1987, I stand corrected. And it had on it ZZ Top's first album, Rio Grande Mud, Tres Hombres, Fandango, Tejas, and El Loco. Missing is Diguelo. They remixed all 6 of these albums, put them out in CD, and for most of these albums, these are the mixes that are still available on CD. There is a box set that I have as well, where you can get all of the ZZ Top albums from the debut to Recycler in their original mixes unaltered. But for years, this was all we had to get those original ZZ Top albums. This was all we had, and when you talk to people about this, you'll find that they all feel roughly the same. They don't listen to it. Kevin Simister's a big ZZ Top fan. We did a great show on ZZ Top. And he gifted this to me for free. So, there you go. The ZZ Top 6-pack. Decent booklet. There's a lot of stuff in here sort of justifying what they did to the songs. There was an overriding concern on the part of all involved that the historic repertoire in the 6 albums contained herein make the transition to CD in a way that would be scrupulously planned and executed. No quickie roll the tapes and call the plant philosophy would suffice. After 17 years of building a loyal worldwide following, it was deemed that ZZ Top fans deserved more than that. Much more than that. So they remixed everything. Anyway, the booklet's decent. Even if the music is not. And I own this only for 2 reasons. 1, so I could write a review. And 2, to have it. Which, as you can see, seems to be the problem here. I have too much stuff that I have not listened to. And that's just too much music. So we're going to call it a show at that. Clean up this mess. And thank you for joining me tonight. Like I said, I need to do these pre-recorded shows every once in a while just to keep myself out there, but not be glued to this monitor on a Friday night. It's weird doing a solo show. I haven't done one of these since the little brain train days. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you didn't mind looking at this ugly mug all night. Take care. Rock on. We'll see you live another time. Grab a stack of rock.